Hey guys, Steve here, Ponics. Today we're going to talk about
Growing with fishes. Growing with fishes.
Welcome to Growing with Fishes podcast, episode 358. This week we have a returning guest with us. We have Luna Whitcomb joining us. Thanks a lot for joining us, Luna.
What's up, Steve? Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about your travels in Thailand and what your latest science discoveries that you've made with your natural farming here, especially after going and seeing what they're doing. It'll be an exciting talk today.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I just went to Thailand. I flew into Bangkok, and then I traveled up into the Isan region and judged a landrace cannabis competition there. It was a pretty awesome experience, and I learned a lot about like the culture and how they're growing and like other traditional farming practices and stuff like that. But it was pretty eye-opening, to say the least. It wasn't exactly what I expected, but I feel like I learned a lot on the trip, you know?
Yeah, I'm really excited to hear about it today. Before we get started, we'll be right back after we hear about some of our education that's available. Be sure to check out our Aquaponic Cannabis Masterclass with over 650 slides of education, as well as videos of different aquaponic cannabis facilities, hands-on video training, and a whole bunch more. You can check that out at apmjclass.com or Aquaponic Cannabis Growers on Teachable. It's been featured in High Times, Dope Magazine, Dude Grows, Growcast, Embracing Organics, Growing with My Fellow Growers, a whole bunch of different podcasts and publications, as well as features all different, all the different aspects you need to grow cannabis aquaponics: nutrients, pest management, design, aquaponic cannabis business and licensing trials and tribulations, and all the different stuff that we've gone through, Marty and I, over the years. Microbial inputs and a whole lot more. So be sure to check it out. If you're looking to grow the best aquaponic cannabis, or really just get a top to bottom, start to finish, all things reference guide kind of class, be sure to check out aquaponic cannabis class. Be sure to check out the aquaponic and living soil pest control course at thepestclass.com. We have over 400 slides just on pest management, pest control, all things pest management, be it fungal issues, caterpillars, aphids, powdery mildew, you name it. We have solutions on there, as well as a huge list of beneficial insects with release rates and application rates for how to make your own biocontrols, to a whole lot more, as well as a bunch of cool tips and tricks for identifying pests in your garden early on so that you can catch them early. So be sure to check that out at thepestclass.com. If you want to learn all there is to know about aquaponics, be sure to check out the Aquaponic Masterclass at aquaponicmasterclass.com, where we feature the longest course that I've ever done. I've kind of made a hybrid class from all my other courses, and then added a couple of other cool features and things to it as well. You can check it out over at aquaponicmasterclass.com. We do have over 50 hours of in-depth content on there, including over 1,000 slides in the deck alone. Tons of cool videos, tips, tricks, lots of behind-the-scene footage from a bunch of different facilities that I've worked on, not just cannabis, but many others. We go over how to grow over 100 different types of crops in depth in aquaponics, with pictures of every single one of those crops growing in aquaponics over the years. Tons of fish husbandry information, microbial information, mineralization optimizations, how to dose your nutrients in your system, detailed dosing guides, starting at 10 gallons and going up to 10,000 in the course as well, for making it easy to do the math on all of your dosing of your different nutrients. How-to guides, tours of different aquaponics facilities, and so much more. You can check that out at Aquaponic Cannabis or aquaponicmasterclass.com. Looking to do more about plant preservation and genetic preservation of not only cannabis, but many other types of crops, be sure to check out Copyleft Cultivars. We have a wide range of resources, as well as an AI assistant to help farmers around the world better protect their genetics from corporate exploitation. I am on the board of Copyleft Cultivars, and I'm proud to be part of this amazing project. You can check out more information either on Patreon or on copyleftcultivars.com. You can also check out the wonderful natural farming AI that we've put together to help make gardening easier than ever. It speaks hundreds of languages, can help you with all manner of plant problems, from pest control to fertilizer creation to natural farming methods, and a whole lot more. You can check out access to that over on Patreon. There's both free and paid versions of the app, so depending on what level of support you'd like to give us, we do offer early beta versions of our latest releases to our newest supporters, and anyone who backs us. We do offer additional resources as well for people before they're available to others as a way to help fund the program. All right, thanks, Luna. All right, tell us about your trip here in Thailand. You had quite the experience. Tell us about what you saw, what you're doing, how the cannabis was, what were some of the different profiles.
Yeah, for sure. I'm happy to. I'm probably just gonna tell it as like a story of like a series of events, like how I showed up and then like went there, because I think like the general experience was kind of crazy for me. Um, so to preface, I went by myself, right? I flew to Thailand alone. Um, and I mostly went to go on vacation. And I had my Instagram, my cannabis Instagram and stuff, my platform. And I just posted like, hey, I'm looking to, check out some local farmers, some landrace stuff out there. Want to like connect with like traditional growers, like natural farmers and stuff like that. And a whole bunch of people reached out to me to come visit them. And obviously I couldn't go see everyone. I was only there for, I don't know, it was like 16 days or something. Um, but one kind of like collective was tagged the most, and people were like, you gotta go to this spot, you gotta go to the Prumpa V landrace tournament. They're all traditional farmers, they're all like natural farmers, and it's all like landrace from that particular region, which is like the Isan region in Sakon Nakhon. In the I'm probably not going to pronounce it right, I'm sure you can correct me, but the Pupan Mountains.
Not sure on that one.
No? Okay. The Pupan Mountains, I believe, anyway. Um, I probably butchered that, but it's all good. So I went out to Thailand. I was in Bangkok for a little bit. I checked out like some botanical gardens and stuff, kind of did my nerdy plant thing. And then was told to fly into Sakon Panom, which is like way east and north in Thailand. And it was like a hour and a half flight from Bangkok, would have been like a 10-hour drive to get there. And so it was like way, way, way out in the sticks. It was like farming land. It wasn't quite like jungle. It was like rice fields, um and it looked kind of like drought ridden a bit flying in, and like I'm flying into this spot and there isn't really any like established buildings, like not like big like infrastructure, it was just kind of like small single-story buildings, flying in. And I was like, dude, I'm in the middle of fucking nowhere, like where am I going, like what am I doing? And uh I get out of the plane. I don't speak a lick of Thai. Like I don't speak Thai at all. I don't understand them. I don't speak it at all. I get off the plane and I'm like the tallest person out of everyone. I got like major inches on everyone. And it's just like I'm kind of just like, oh my God, like what am I fucking doing out here? Like I'm in the middle of fucking nowhere. Like nobody knows me. I don't know anybody. Um, and I just walk up and like try to rent a car, and like she gives me a contract to sign this, and I'll tie. I have no idea what it says. I sign it, jump on the right side, driver's seat, and drove like 2.5 hours the hills, into like the hills of northern eastern Thailand, Isan region. I ended up getting there after dark. It's probably like 8:30. and like I can't find a hotel. There's no like there isn't any like really hotel companies or anything. It's just like people with like rooms, but it's not on Airbnb, and you have to like call them and speak Thai. And so I pull up to the community center where they're hosting this like tournament event. Um, and like I just walk up into a place that I'd never been, where I don't know anyone and like nobody knows me. Um, and I'm kind of like scared, right? I'm like, this is crazy. Like I'm being crazy right now. And I walk up and they're all just like the sweetest, like Buddhist, weed smoking, ganja growing, whiskey drinking older people that just saw me and are like, what, who are you? Like, what are you doing here? Like, why are you here? Um, and I immediately connect with Lorenzo and Prempa V, who were the people kind of behind the Prempa V tournament, the landrace tournament that was going on there. Everyone was super friendly. They immediately started like feeding me and bringing me, landrace to smoke and giving me whiskey and all the older guys were really, really friendly. Um, but yeah, and so like the next day was like the tournament started. Um, I found a hotel, they helped me find like a place to sleep and it cost like nothing. But so the next day like the tournament had started and like all these growers from like all around the Eastern region, like 24 different farms brought in their best land race. Um and like just brought it there for people to try. And then we started touring a bunch of different farms. And we didn't go to all of them, but we just started going farm to farm and checking stuff out. Um and I got to see how they grew. And I was pretty like awestruck and like dewy eye at first with the whole thing. They're talking about like traditional practices and like traditional land race and like no outside genetics, no Thai genetics go out, no foreign genetics come in. And I was like, oh my God, like that's incredible. And then they're like, oh, we only use inputs and amendments and nutrient sources from like the local area, from like the immediate surrounding community. And that's what I was told. Unfortunately, that didn't turn out to be the case. Um, but the some of the farmers were very strict on like their traditional practices, while other ones really weren't at all. Um, but regardless, there's like I'm trying to figure out how to communicate this properly. You kind of have to understand like where they're at, like with their culture as well as like their income, disposable income, their capital, their ability to buy stuff. Um, this is one of like the poorest places in Thailand. Like we were right next to Laos, right? Um, and they eat from the garden. They go fishing for their food, it seems like almost every day. Um, and like going out and going like grocery shopping wasn't something like that I saw happen at all. Um, and so their approaches to cultivation are extremely they're low tech. Let me just say that they're low tech, right? And their availability of like things to use were very, very, very limited, just like non-existent. So like the potential of even going out and getting something that they needed, just it isn't going to happen. Um, and I feel like I'm kind of ranting, but I think I'm just going to go with it. Um, I saw, all their local vegetation, and their food waste and their byproducts and stuff. And I was like, wow, like you guys can be doing all these cool things that, you're not, like integrating JDAM and KNF techniques, as well as just like, sustainable gardening and permaculture type stuff, um, that they didn't know about. And I was kind of excited to like, maybe I can like help these people out because they're definitely running into certain deficiencies. They're definitely running into some like pest issues, mold issues, which was really big, like caterpillar problems and stuff like that. Um, and they weren't really interested in hearing about any of it. They were just kind of like, I think that there's like a level of distrust and like mistrust when it comes to like foreigners in their area. What is your experience with that? I feel like I've been going on for a minute
So,
now.
sure. So there's definitely, some people that will listen to you and realize that like they can learn stuff. But the default is definitely no, we've been farming here for a long time and we know what's up. And they don't want to integrate, new methods. We had to a lesser extent that same problem in Africa, but definitely in the Caribbean. And I've had the same issue actually working with Native American tribes too, because I've done some work with aquaponics and soil stuff on Native American tribes, because you're like the 3000s white guy to come in and tell how to solve their problems. And it's like,
I
I
know,
get
yeah,
it. I totally
I
understand that
totally get it.
perspective. But at the same time, like especially stuff like KNF and Jadam's methods, you can really help people, farmers, like at a very low cost, and it has a huge impact. And it doesn't, you can find that stuff in a country with a high inflation rate like Zimbabwe. We had all the resources to make all the KNF inputs, at our local corner market. So, same thing in Thailand. We were making huge amounts of FAA. They catch a lot of these smaller fish that they'll use for like cat food or dog food or
Right.
like whatever else. We would buy big sacks of them and just make FAA out of it, and that was our nitrogen for our soil stuff and our,
Right.
supplemental aquaponic stuff. So, and that was something that readily available at a really low, cheap price there in Thailand.
Yeah,
Same with the
it's
insects too. If you're making IPMO, you can go
mhm.
buy them at the market there. Did you
Oh
get a
yeah,
chance
there's
to check out any of the
yeah, yeah,
market
yeah.
street
I went to
market?
I went to quite a few markets while I was there, but I went to the like town market in Sukon Nakhon. And yeah, there's definitely insects there. Um it seemed like mostly it was for food. But they definitely have access to insects to be doing that kind of stuff. And I don't want to just come on here and just like take a shit on them. I think I was kind of hoping to like make an impact. I wanted to like they were so kind. They were like so kind, they were so nice, they were so open, and like friendly with me. And I really just want to like return the favor because I knew I could help. Um, but like you said, you're the thousandth white person to come in and tell them what to do and fuck their shit up, especially with just the history of what white people do and
On that,
what chemical ag and traditional ag has done to their farmland and to that area specifically. And they came in and they dumped chemicals everywhere and they messed everything up. So they're probably just not interested in hearing about it at all. And I get that. um
that area of too, with a lot of Laotian immigrants, the people of Laos got a lot of the bad end of the stick in the Vietnam War. So
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So their view on like Americans coming in and telling them how to do things probably isn't very great. There was one guy there. His name was Krunkai. He was really nice. And he was really receptive, and he spoke a little bit of English, so I think that we were able to connect a little bit better. Um, but I went to his farm and he was very eager to talk about stuff, and I was able to like show him how to properly cure and like when is it dry, very like low tech approaches and stuff. Like when is it dry, I'm like snap the stem, don't seal it up in your bags until the stem snap, which is very very low tech approach and like kind of you know it's simple, it's simple for new people. And and he was super appreciative, and then he asked me a whole bunch of other things. I helped him with like mulching and um, adding biologicals. I taught him how to make labs, lactic acid bacteria. But at first, when I brought up the notion of it to him about fermenting milk, he like literally laughed out loud at me. um and I'm like, what is so funny? And he's like, milk. He's like, milk, like drink, like milk. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, ah, like, wait, you're crazy. Like, milk is for drinking. Like, milk is food. Like we drink milk. Like, and milk is expensive. Like like why would we give it to our plants? And I'm like, okay, well, like we had actually just gone fishing. and like got a bunch of fish. I'm like, well, what about like the fish bone? I'm like, you can like, use the fish bone and stuff. And he's like, the fish bone, no, 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 that goes to the dogs, that goes to the dogs, and or it all just gets ground up and made into food. Like that's food, like we don't give food to our plants. Um, it was very strictly like chicken manure, buffalo manure, and like rice hulls, and that was it. They might collect some like urine um and use it. There was one guy who was doing like kind of putrefaction of like some like fruit byproducts and stuff, but they would they weren't adding like microbial stuff to it also to kind of to help it and keep it from culturing pathogens and things. um but yeah, it was interesting. He actually brought me into like a circle, because there was like a circle of growers and I was just kind of walking around the event and like hanging out with people. And they brought like the farm heads together to have like a community circle. And he's like shouting at me over the PA and I'm like trying to figure out who's yelling at me. And I see they're having like the circle and he's like, Luna, 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 like come here, come here, come here. I'm like, okay. And I go over there and I'm sitting in the middle of like 20 Thai farm owner growers, and he starts talking about me in Thai. I have no idea what he says, and he's trying to ask me a question. I'm trying to explain like how to cure and how to properly dry and how to cure. Because it's very humid there, and they all are bagging up their stuff way too early, and then it's getting a lot of mold. And you can tell that a lot of the terpenes are being damaged and stuff like that. And I kind of like walked them through it, and they were receptive. They were receptive with Krunkai there, kind of like vouching for me. Um, and then like one of the guys, he was like one of the farmers, he wanted Krunkai to ask me like, what are the most famous genetics that we can grow so we can better sell our product, because we're not able to sell our product. Um, and just for an explanation, we're near the equator here. So this is an equatorial region. Their longest days are like 13 to 14 hours during their like solstice period. Um, so the vegging outdoors like isn't a thing. And the land race that has adapted to those equatorial conditions and equatorial photoperiods, they become these really long flowering strains. And from what I understand, after talking to another person who came that spoke English, um, was that they're like 28-week flowering strains, but they never grow to completion. They never like actually wait 28 weeks of flowering time. And so this guy, he asked me, like, what are the most famous, genetics that we can grow here so we can better sell our product? And I'm trying to explain to them, I'm like, you can't bring Northern Hemisphere, North America, Dutch genetics out here and have them perform. I'm like, all your plants are going to be super small and they have plant count limitations there. Like, they're trying to take, and they don't have the infrastructure to run clones or mothers. There's no mother rooms, there's no clone rooms, there's no lights as an option for any of these people. It's all from seed. Seeds and dirt that grow in the shade until they get put in the field, um, which I think is awesome, which is great. I like the whole experience was super cool. Um, and I'm definitely not trying to like shit on anyone or their approaches or anything, because I understand that like this is all that they have as options. And so this guy, he asked me, about the famous genetics, and I'm like, you cannot grow these 8-week flowering strains out here on the equator. The photoperiods just aren't good. You're going to have plants that are like this tall, and some of the farmers who were trying to do it were like, yeah, our plants are too small. Like, how do we get our plants bigger? And I'm like, you can't, like, unless you get infrastructure with lighting, like you're not going to be able to veg your plants larger here to get them larger with those genetics. And so they're like, like, how do we like improve like well, they didn't ask how to improve. They were like, how do we better sell our product? And I'm like, well, the pests and the mold and the quality, would have to improve a little bit. And they got like super fucking offended they got super mad that I implied that like their quality needed to improve. Um, uh, but it's like it's all they can do there. I don't know. What do you think? You've been quiet.
Um, no, they're limited on resources, and a lot of them don't understand the whole like what's it called? I'm trying to how you put it, like proactive applications on the plants. So like we were the only farm in like all of Phetchabun like territory that didn't get septoria outbreak when the rains came, because we were using IMOs, liquid IMOs on the plants, foliarly in veg, and for all the clones and all the veg plants, and then and through the roots for the stuff in flower, and through the roots and the veg too. But um that I think just gave us the defense against it, and that really just, we didn't have any problems at all, and everyone else was just getting wrecked. And like just like you were saying too, like the native strains don't get wrecked by the septoria and stuff like that, I've noticed, but the foreign stuff just gets annihilated by it if you aren't ready for it. And a lot of that stuff just melts. So I was able to grow about 80-85% of the stuff, or at least find a pheno in that, in a seed pop that would be okay out there. But a lot of stuff would melt. Anything real wide leaf, anything real squat, like some of the Afghani stuff and some of the like, you know, northern hemisphere stuff would just completely melt, especially if you didn't have them under some kind of screen. You had to have them under at least 30 or 50% sunshade, or they were
Mhm.
just not going to do well.
So were you running mostly like Northern Hemisphere strains?
Yeah, we popped like 62 or 63 Thai strains. We went around and toured around for like a week, grabbed a bunch of different stuff, and then I managed to trade and find some other people in the country to get some different stuff from. So we popped a whole bunch of stuff. Chocolate was super unstable. We weren't able to find a stable. We found like a couple different chocolate notes, which was cool. One was like a really fudge, like a chocolate fudge brownie. Like one was like a rich but like lighter chocolate. One was like a cacao kind of chocolate. But all of them were super hermy and would throw like a male branches in like week 5 of flower. Would be like, suddenly this whole new branch growth would come out and it'd be full of male flowers, which was really strange. It seems to be a common trait with a lot of the landrace stuff there in Thailand.
So I was I was talking to I don't know if you've ever heard of Zomia.
I've heard of them, yeah.
So they're like landrace collectors, right? They've been traveling Southeast Asia collecting landrace seeds, and they showed up to the event, Eloise and Bella, and I was talking to them about it, and one of the things that Eloise told me is, at the turn of like more modern cultivation, like the mainstream cultivation of cannabis, like commercialization and a little bit, where people were incentivized to grow sensimilla, flower without seeds, everyone stopped, leaving their males in the field. Um, and the herms were the only way for them to get their seeds. Like they it was much over time it became really difficult for them to get the original untainted true landrace stuff, um because everyone's growing or trying to grow sensimilla, and so the seeds would then be um the offspring of hermaphroditic plants, hermaphroditic pollen, and then those would be cultivated, and then it would happen generation after generation after generation, like harvest year after year after year, where people are running the seeds, hermaphroditic seeds, in those areas. And so to find like landrace genetics in a lot of those regions that don't have hermaphroditic tendencies is extremely difficult. And they have to be essentially preserved by landrace preservers who never started pulling their male plants um, at the time when people started pulling all their male plants from their fields. Um, and she said that there are people that are doing it. There are like farms that specifically they're like the seed savers, you know, um they're preserving the land race, and they run their mills, and then they're the ones that distribute seeds to a lot of the farmers, but not a lot of the farmers are willing to pay for them because they have these other seeds that are coming from their hermaphroditic plants and stuff. And so that characteristic of like very hermaphroditic landrace is super, super common all throughout Southeast Asia and India and Sri Lanka, and, you know, um, just that whole area.
Oh, that's interesting. I never knew that.
Oh, well, that's what I was told.
Oh, that's cool. What were the terpene profiles like on the ones there? I know in Isan is generally kind of limonene dominant. Was that what you found as well?
Yeah. I found some stuff that was kind of like herbal. Um, a lot of like lemon dominant for sure. Um, found some like things that would be like akin to Jack Herrera, you know? Um, and I also found some like creaminess to it. So there was like some herbal, there was like some sweet, citrusy, there was like some creamy, um, and like Jack Herrera notes, but definitely that, you know, what you would expect from like a pure sativa. Everything was like pure sativa there. Um, it got me wicked high though. Like my body, my body, like, you know, your cannabinoid system gets used to certain profiles and stuff. Um, and mine was clearly not used to that one. Because I would just smoke a little bit and I'd just be so I would just be I couldn't talk, you know, like I couldn't talk to people, I couldn't carry a conversation. I felt super dumb and like brain dead on some of them, and other ones like my body was like vibrating, and I got like a ping, like ringing kind of sensation, you know, like super high vibrational kind of highs. Um but definitely all sativas, all like lemony, herbal. But yeah, definitely lemon in that area.
Yeah, no, it's I had that kind of experience in Zim when I had only been smoking like really low quality stuff for a while because they didn't have, you know, anything all that great growing. And then I went up into the mountains and they had this super piney and sativa stuff, and it was just like, what the fuck?
It kind of rocks
Rang
you,
my bell.
you
Yeah.
know? Yeah, it did. It like rocked me. It like made my ears ring. I was like, you know?
Well, the other
Um,
bit of it is too in Thailand, they use like a lot of pesticides and shit that you wouldn't see people using here. So that's another thing to think about as well when you're
so touring the farms, I was definitely on the lookout for signs of like spraying and stuff like that. On a couple of them I saw it and I asked and no one would tell me. But I did get some information on one of the farms that it was actually animal urine. But the I was definitely, because you kind of warned me of that before I went. And for the audience, Steve and I talked about me going to Thailand before I went to Thailand. Um, and so you would kind of warn me, so I was on like the lookout for like massive insect death, like sudden massive like populations of insects dying on like farms and stuff like that, and was kind of like took note of like where they came from, and what like the flower looked like there. But I definitely, you know, I was looking for like the pathogens and the mold and like their common pests. You know, they really deal with like a lot of caterpillar damage. There was definitely fungal infections, septoria. Um, there was, you know, like rust fungus stuff, you know, stem borers and things like that. And then when I got the samples, and I smelled them all, there were a couple that had very not cannabis aromas to them, you know? And I took note of it, and I in my like judging spreadsheet that I made, I was like, this one I didn't even smoke it because it smelled contaminated with something. Um,
when
and
uh when I judged the 420 competition in Bangkok there, we got like 240 entries and then we sorted through them all and picked like 65 we thought were probably okay to smoke, and a lot of them, like you're saying, are picked wet and bagged and had just fermented, or you know, other things that happened, or they just had like no smell to them, like maybe they were dried in the sun or dried in a place where they were exposed to the sun, or but again, that was right when they first started. So it's not to
Yeah,
say that there wasn't some good quality, because there was definitely some fire, but a
there was
lot
definitely
of
some
learning still.
100%. There was definitely some good quality there. You can tell they're passionate farmers that want to do the best, and they do their best. Um, and I think we just have a particular uh, we're expected of particular things here that they just haven't been expected of. Um, but yeah, there were some of the samples where I smelled them and they kind of smelled like cured meat. Have you ever gotten that before?
Yeah, I actually
Like
have
salami.
a strain right now I just got from Mr. Green Jeans. I went down to pick up, I wanted to re-get his cut of Oreo. He has this strain, it's like I'll have to go back and look. It's like triple X crossed with some two other strains. Anyways, it smells like hamburger meat that's been like, if you like left it in your car for like a day, like on like the dashboard or something, and it's just like it smells like hamburger meat, but like it's kind of off smelling.
Oh, uh-huh.
But I just popped some Pam one red Marif, which it gets really like meat in a trash bag in July on the curb kind of smell.
Interesting. So I was kind of curious because I was wondering if it was like a fermentation that was occurring to the cannabis itself. And I'm sure that those genetics are, those are just the aroma profiles that they have. But I was wondering if what I was smelling on these genetics was actually like bacterial off-gassing.
Yeah,
Um,
there's definitely like a lot of, I've had fermented cannabis over there that has like especially if you buy like some of they they have low and higher quality brickweed, quote unquote, but the higher quality stuff that's coming in from Vietnam and Laos, oftentimes is like decent weed, but it's bricked out, so it has this weird fermentation process that goes inside. The other only time I've had anything like that was in northern Zimbabwe, like kind of near the Malawi border in the northern part of the country, and they
Ooh.
do the whole burying the cannabis in corn in clay pots in the ground, and like wax sealing it and then aging it for like 8 months, 10 months
Wait, so they take
underground.
they take like dry corn and they put the
So that
cannabis in the dry corn and they put like a terracotta pot over it and they seal it and bury it?
Yeah, so take like the couple nugs or like a bundle and then put that around with like a single layer of like corn leaf. Or it's I don't even think it's corn, it's some other plant, but it's like
Oh, the husk,
same
like a
kind of shape.
husk.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like
okay.
a husk. And it goes around that, and then they tie that kind of tight and get the air out of that as much as they can. And then they pack those inside of these clay jars, and then they seal the top with like wax with the lid, and then they bury those, and they have like a stone they put on top, and then they'll have like a bunch of them going, when they harvest stuff, and then they have a different, like an 8 month and a 10 month or whatever, and then it ages it. But they do it with hash too, which is pretty
Mhm.
cool, but mostly just with flour because
What
there's
is
not much hash there.
what is the intention behind doing that?
Just as a way to like age it and maybe like cure it. It's just how they do it there.
Interesting. But
And
like
then they
what's
can like dig it up at any time if they need to, if they need more.
oh, almost like like to preserve it, to like keep it preserved for long periods?
Yeah, for like storing it, especially because it gets hot and shit in the summertime.
Mm, I see. Okay.
Yeah,
It's like their long-term storage method.
yep. And you can
Got
always
it.
pop them out at any time you need them.
That's cool. I wonder how that affects like aroma and stuff though too.
Yeah, no, it had like this different, like you're saying, kind of like a fermented notes to it that were much different, but it wasn't like putrid or anything like that. It was pleasant.
That's really interesting. Where was this again?
This was in northern Zimbabwe, up kind of
Zimbabwe.
near the Malawi border.
Got some Zimbabwe weed that'll turn you into a deer, man.
Yeah.
How was
I don't
it?
think
Did you get
that's
to, you got to
safe if
try
we
it?
get a lion.
What? What'd you say?
I don't think that's safe when the lion comes.
Yeah, when the lion I love that movie. That's one of my favorites.
I used to work at a cyber cafe when that came out. I was 15. I was working at a cyber cafe and we ran an ISP out the back and had like training classes for older folks and then like games installed. We had all like gaming tournaments and like a
That's so
bunch
cool.
of different TVs with Xboxes and PlayStations
Playing Halo 2.
and what was it? Magic the Gathering and stuff like that. We did Friday Night Magic there. It was good times.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Um,
I was a big
so
Halo 2 nerd when I was younger.
any other notes you saw there? Like how was the um uh, any kind of preparations that you learned about as far as like did you see the juice they call it juicy in brewery rum but um with MSG and the egg white and the what's the other ingredient? Fish sauce. They put it in the sun. They're like orange, pink, red bottles that they use in the garden.
Oh, you talk about culturing PNSB?
Yeah. Did you see?
Oh no, cause so I knew that that's like a Thai natural farming technique, right? And I was hoping to
Yep.
run into like Thai natural farming techniques. Um, but no, no, I didn't. Um, Unfortunately, I was really hoping that I was gonna like go out there and get schooled a bit on some things that I um didn't know. Um, but no, I didn't, unfortunately.
All right. Um, how did you have any particular cultivars that really stood out anywhere in your travels around the country or
So there were um a couple of the farms there that really stood out above the rest. Um, and they were the ones that were producing the highest quality. Um, and the best ones were actually they were actually run by the women. They're all the female farmers were growing all the best weed out there. Um,
that's how
and
Africa is.
yeah, and yeah, but so they were incorporating a lot of like companion plants and stuff like that and mulches in a way that everyone else wasn't. And so they were growing a lot of like gourds and you know they had like vetch and just you know natural grasses and stuff growing in their field along with it. And then they were adding like mulches and they were keeping their top layer, you know, covered in like decomposing organic matter, and they were just crushing it. They were crushing it way harder. And there were some expressions. I'm not sure if it was hard to communicate with them because they don't speak Thai and they don't really speak English. But it almost seemed like they may have been doing some selective breeding with like their traditional land races that started like developing better. Um, uh, and there was this one that had like this it wasn't like a dark like magenta, it was more like a lilac like violet kind of look, you know, that did have, I wouldn't call it chocolatey, but I would call it like deep kind of creamy with like that still like loud sharp like pine to it, with some like eucalyptus. You know, there was like eucalyptus herbal notes to it. And that was my favorite one there, was like this eucalyptus, deep, creamy, sharp pine, like violet lilac ganja that they were growing out there. And I was like, this is the one. I was like, this is the genetic out there. Um, I was able to source seeds. Um, and I suspect that they're going to be very hermaphroditic leaning, and so I'm never gonna breed with them and release them. But I would like to grow them out in uh in like my custom built soil and my like my depth, you know, and like maybe even like start flowering them and like you know 45-gallon pots or something indoors, and then move them outside into like um the depth, and then keep flowering them, and then when the photo period is flowering again, then just open them up to the sun and let them keep going because there's such long flowering strains, and see like how they do here. um which might be a crazy idea, who knows? But I really want to see how they grow with like a balanced amended soil. Um, and I want to try to grow them with only inputs that I noticed were available in Thailand, um, which is pretty much fish, bamboo, sugarcane, insects. Um, I'm gonna try to like mimic Isan region soil based off what I know about it. I know it's not gonna be perfect, but I'll do some like geological research on that area and like the composition of the soil and stuff like that. Because I want to try to mimic it almost exactly. And obviously the light spectrum isn't going to be the same, the sun spectrum isn't going to be the same, and there's really no way I can imitate that. But I'm going to try to do my best and also integrate like KNF techniques, um, and like Jadam techniques based off of like what would be over there, just to see, just for fun. You know what I mean? I think it'd be kind of a cool project. Um, there's like sugarcane is like one of the biggest um crops there, like agriculture crops there. So they have like jaggery, you know, which is, the original input used for making like FPJs and FFJs and stuff like that. So I'm going to do a lot of like fermented bamboo um to like give to the plants. Um, what else was something that they had growing out there? There's a lot of like rubber trees. I'm not sure how I would do that, but I think it'd be a fun project.
Did you see any kratom trees over there? There's a lot of kratom in that part of the country.
I probably did. I drank some kratom tea. I,
They
one
make
of
it
the
strong if it's the stuff from the street vendor.
yeah, yeah. Oh my God. Am I allowed to talk about drinking in this podcast?
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Hey, so so one of the nights, people let loose a little bit and they brought out their rice whiskey and the
Lao,
kratom.
was it Lao Cow or
Yeah, well, some of it they were drinking
Sato?
Lao Cow. They were drinking Lao Cow too, but there was like some local stuff that people had been
Was
making.
it Sato? Was it kind of sweeter and whitish?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Sato. Sato is great. That's one of my favorites.
too. That's what they gave me when I first showed up there, right? Like the older men were kind of like, they were just immediately like they didn't even they were speaking to me in Thai. Like I didn't understand them, but they were just like, huh, like here,
Yeah,
like try this, and I'm
yeah.
like, this has got to be booze, right? Like I'm, these guys out here in the middle of nowhere aren't trying to drug me, yeah. And I immediately like, smell it, and I'm like, this is like Everclear, like this is like moonshine rice whiskey, like and I
It's Lao
and I
Cow probably.
and I took a sip of it, and it was like it was crazy strong. I think well, the guy, one of the guys who spoke a little English, he was like whiskey, whiskey, local whiskey, local whiskey. And I was like, okay. And so I'm like drinking it with these guys. And one of the other nights though, like I I drank a lot of it. I drank a lot of this strong stuff. And then they like brought out this thing of kratom tea, you know. And everyone's all excited about the kratom, and everyone starts drinking it. And I'm like, oh, while in Rome, they're preparing food in their traditional way, and everything is crazy spicy, hot. It was really good. There were some things I was a little uncomfortable to eat. We won't get into those details. Um, but while in Rome, I kind of just did as the Romans did, and was drinking kratom and rice whiskey with all these older Thai guys, and um they're all singing karaoke, and it was quite a party. It was quite a party. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. But I got the worst, wicked, wicked hangovers, from drinking this stuff because I'm sure I had a lot of like aldehydes and esters and stuff in it. Um, so
There's sugar in it too.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure that yeah, it's not like drinking whiskey here. Um, but I was
that's why you
really
gotta you
hungover.
gotta mix the Lao Cow with coconut water. It keeps you from getting headaches.
That's smart. That's smart. That's smart. Yeah, I drink quite a bit of it. And the kratom, I've never really partaken in kratom before. Um, but it was communicated to me that that's what that was. And what I understood it was like an opiate agonist or like a opiate receptor agonist.
Yep.
And so like it's supposed to put you down. Um, but when I drank it, I got like super stimulated. It like kept me up and
Yep.
drinking more. Um,
So in small doses, it's a stimulant. In large doses, it's a depressant. So the
oh,
dose.
is that how that works?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was going. I was going.
But
Good
for
call.
those out there that don't know about it, it's a great one if someone's trying to get off of opioids. You can take kratom tea and it activates the same receptors. So if they're having withdrawal and they're feeling really sick, it'll help a lot with those types of symptoms. Same thing with ibogaine, iboga.
Mhm.
Those are kind of the two that are really good for that. But kratom is easy to get in the States. There are people that are licensed to distribute iboga. I actually know one of them personally. So if you know someone, you can reach out to me on whatever platform, and I will get you in touch with Amber, who's a friend of mine who does the legal and iboga treatment stuff in the U.S.
Cool. It's a psychedelic, isn't it?
It is a psychedelic, but it blocks the um, receptors for opioids for a long time. It like fucks with the like both psychologically but also chemically, like changes how your opioid receptors work for a while. So it makes it like very hard to get high afterwards. You get real sick.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's strange.
I heard yeah, I heard it's really good for like getting off of for getting out of addictions and stuff, even for like nicotine and stuff too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a cool Hamilton did an episode on it that's pretty cool about some of the native rituals that they do with it, which was interesting that I didn't know about as well.
Very
But
cool. Good medicine.
any other thoughts on your Thai trip there? And was it what you thought it was going to be? Was it?
I had a great time. It I didn't go into it with any expectations, really. I would have hoped to have learned some cool techniques there, and I would have hoped to have impacted the community in like a good way. Um, but there was really nothing I could do. Um, and it's always been like a dream of mine, to travel around the world and learn different natural farming techniques because I'm just a huge soil nerd, I'm a huge like regenerative ag nerd and I love microbes and insects and biology and plants, and I always have been really interested in all of that and ecology and everything, and it was just like I would love to just like travel around and hop around and like learn all these different techs from all these different places. But it seems like they aren't really implemented. um and we might have better access to them just with the internet, um than traveling around, which was a little bit of a buzzkill for me, because I would have loved to have done that, and I also would have loved to have like make an impact by going around and teaching people regenerative techniques. um but then I guess I just didn't understand the severity of like how much people don't trust white people, which I think is understandable, you know, or just foreigners in general. I don't want to make it about race. It's just foreigners, just because in history they've done horrible things and they've genuinely destroyed communities, and created poverty and a lot of problems, and but I don't know. I had a fantastic time and I had a great experience and I met really good people, and they're all really great people and they really love the plant and they really love what they're doing. Um, I just felt a bit like a tourist the whole time, you know, and I would have liked it to have been a bit more than that. But I'm not gonna convince anyone to, you know, approach the situation differently, approach me differently. Um, but I did score a bunch of landrace genetics. So I got some stuff from like Sri Lanka and from the Isan region and from India because I ran into landrace collectors and preservers and stuff that I connected with on a pretty deep level. And so I got hooked up with a bunch of landrace stuff. Probably never gonna breed with them, and if I did, it wouldn't technically be landrace because once you start selective breeding, it's not really landrace anymore. And there's even debate to be said that if, you're not doing proper, multiple thousand plant seed preservation runs with landrace, it's not even landrace anymore. But I'm excited to play with them and to grow them out. And I'm going to document it on my Instagram and on my website when it finally gets launched. And I think that'll be a fun project. And then I'm really excited to like try it here, like grown with all the amenities that I can provide for it. And that's really cool. So I made some like good friends. I had a really good time, and I got seeds. So all of that was like a great success. I was a little bit disappointed with I just wish I could have done something. I feel like I didn't do anything. And maybe that's just me. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't feel like I need to do anything. I guess I just kind of wanted to. I saw the level of poverty there. And people are dealing with all these problems. I'm like, I can help you with all of this stuff. And I really wanted to. And I'm like, God, these people are so kind. They're all like these Buddhist, super Zen, growing ganja, and they're making all these really simple mistakes that I'm like, dude, I can like totally help you fix these things. And almost be implying that there was anything to be improved was like insulting to them. To the older ones, to like the younger ones though, they seemed a little bit more receptive to it, like my peers. But when it came to like older people, I don't tell them. I couldn't tell them. I couldn't talk to them about it at all. They were very, very. I offended them. Not even like offering to help. I didn't even like offer to help. I just like was like, oh, like this is this. Like, have you tried this? And they're like, you know, um, but. Hmm.
Now that you mention it, all the people that did listen to me were like 25 and under. I
I
hadn't
think it's
I hadn't put that together, but you're absolutely right.
I think it's a cultural thing. The elders are to be revered, which is good, which is great. Um, but there's definitely some like limitations to that ideology. Um, hmm. I'm not trying to be like, I know better than all these people. They've been growing there for, more time than I have. I didn't grow there at all. I don't know what it's like to grow there. I've never grown there. Um, uh, but I felt like I could have done something and I wasn't able to, which was disappointing. But I had a fantastic time. I had a great time.
Yep. And if anyone's ever going there, like the southern part of the country, there's like very little weed because it's Muslim dominated down there. So there's just not many growers, period. If you're ever going around touristing, stick to the northern half of the country. You'll have a lot better luck. Chiang Mai and Chiang Rai seem to have the most amount of terpene profile diversity, I think, because of the mountains there, and there's a lot of like other genetics from the Himalayas there that end up in that part of Thailand. There was definitely like one strain had like clove notes to it, which was really cool, almost like a Jarum cigarette, which was super neat. And there was some sandalwood and some other um, more unique profiles I think we found up in that area. I think 3 of our 4 chocolates came from up that way too.
Yeah, I scored some chocolate stuff too, which I'm excited to try.
Nice.
Um, yeah, so I'm gonna play with that stuff. And you gave me some stuff too. So I have a whole bunch
Yep.
of Thai stuff I'm gonna play with here soon. But I'll probably never breed with it to release those genetics. I'm gonna leave that to the proper landrace preserver people. Um, but yeah, it was it was good. It was good. It was a good experience.
Well, speaking of cultivars, what are you cooking up these days? I know you have quite a few different ones available and you just released some new ones. What do you got in the queue there?
I have a lot of stuff on my menu now. Um, I'm kind of known for my cheese. Um, and I kind of just stuck to it. It seemed like people really loved the cheese, and when they grew it out, everyone was thrilled with it. And so I have my foundation, which is my lunar cheese. Um, and I have that whole lunar cheese line that's been out for a while. And then I did that that skunk breeding project with Frank from Purple Caper. And was an all feminized run, and we did like, you know, Durban and Northern Lights and um some of his alpha skunk phenotypes that, you know, were his keepers. God, what else did we do? We put it on my lunar cheese. So like a whole skunk line, and then I just did a new line with Frank, which was like I used my raspberry moon cheese stud, which I've had around for a while. And did it on like a lot of kind of, it was a huge diversity. So there was a lot of haze. We did haze, we did chem, we did diesel, we did I almost want to like bring my list up, but haze, chem, diesel. We did Hawaiian crosses, we did Afghani crosses, we did, I put it on, oh, and then we did some like hype, like kind of cookie stuff, like Oreos and glitter bomb. You know what? I'm just gonna bring it up because I can't remember. But this was like the largest pollination project that I did. Yes, we did chem. We did a papaya berry on the raspberry moon cheese. We did sour diesel, glitter bomb, Oreos, Oregon haze, super silver haze, alpha skunk 45, chili verde, bubble mint, blueberry haze, northern lights, Hawaiian queen, deadhead OG, gelato 41. And those were all pollinated by my raspberry moon cheese stud, which is my lunar cheese on an animal cookies cut, the animal cookies breeder cut that I got back in like 2013. And the raspberry moon cheese is just like unbelievable fire, cheesy, creamy, like raspberry, great like for pain, nighttime smoke. It's one of my favorite go-tos because it helps me like relax the other day. It's like really calming and like relaxing. It's like one of those strains you smoke and it's like a warm hug, you know what I mean? Is you just like, it just like takes the edge off of everything and like mellows you out without being like crazy couch lock. But it's still very potent. And so that kind of just went on all this other stuff because I think it's my most trichome dense, like sandy trichome characteristic, you know, so it's like a really good washer. Um, Really long, like a long elongated trichome necks and stuff like that. And very white, has like these nice purple bracts, and that characteristic, you know, I wanted to like carry that on to all this other stuff. And so we ran that breeding project, and then we tested it all out just to make sure that you know there weren't any issues and everything like that. And now it's released, and it's all going to be on my website, which is supposed to be done by the end of this week. But the seeds are available.
And people just contact you for that.
Yeah, for now you can just contact me. But I should have my website up in a matter of days. And I don't know when you're going to release this. Maybe by the time that this is released, my website will be up. But if it's not, yeah, you can just contact me.
Cool.
Yeah.
What are you popping this year for your summer run? Have you figured that part out yet?
I'm probably going to do a lot of these genetics, just to show people how they do outside. Because I ran them all indoors because the breeding project was kind of done at a particular time of year where then to grow them out, I'd have to do it indoors. So I'm gonna do like my outdoor stuff, probably just all of this, just to show people like what they do in the sun. Um, mm, yeah, yeah.
Nice.
And the Thai landrace stuff, all the Southeast Asian landrace stuff. I want to grow out that Sri Lankan stuff and the Isan stuff and the stuff that you gave me. What did you give me?
The temple tie, the giant ones.
Yeah, the temple Thai. I want to grow that one out. Um, then I got some stuff that I can't pronounce the name of. But you know, it doesn't have like an American name, right? Or like an English name. It's all in Thai, and I don't know what they say. Some of them are written in Thai, you
Like
know,
squirrel
alphabet.
tail and tiger tail and
Well, there's those that have like the English
yeah,
names, but then there were some that like they don't have English names, and I'm like, I
yeah.
don't know what this is, but I'm gonna grow it out, you know.
Oh, I'm trying to remember the name for the generic words right now for it. I'm blanking on it right now. But
One of them was KK. It was like, I don't know.
not sure on that one.
I don't know. But I think it was supposed to be like what the original like Thai stick was made from. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just spewing misinformation now. Maybe I'll just stop talking about it.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that. You don't see
Okay.
Thai stick. That's something that everyone always like expects to
You
see
do.
over there, and it is you have to really try to hunt it down. I only saw it at the Cup in Bangkok on 420. Like that was the only time I saw it. I think maybe one other time in a shop in Chiang Mai.
And it's just, I mean, from what I understand, it's just a particular like family of landrace that's then just tied around like a stick, right?
Yeah, it's like a chopstick with the weed tied around it with a fine thread,
Yeah.
just so it's bound tightly. It's not. It's
Yeah.
kind of just like brickweed.
Okay. Yeah, they were making a lot of bricks there too. They were all really excited to show me their bricks. They're like, "Oh, the bricks," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's a brick. It's a brick."
When you buy a bong there in a lot of the shops, they'll give you like, and I showed this when I was over there. They'll give you like a fucking, 3 or 4 ounce block for you to smoke with it when you get it. It's funny.
Really? That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I
But it's
didn't
hard to
try my
find
brick.
it's
Huh?
hard to find good glass over there. A lot of people make bamboo bongs, at least in Phetchabun.
Yeah, there was big. Ugh. Yeah, there were big bamboo bongs there. Big bamboo bongs. You know, I never saw anyone actually hit it, but there was a huge like 5 foot bamboo bong there that everyone was taking pictures with their big sacks of weed. Everyone had these big like ostrich bags full of their landrace.
My buddies came from Canada and we toured around. It was right when I broke my shoulder and had my motorcycle accident over there. We toured around and we went to this grow and they were trying to figure out like something cool and weed related to get that they could bring back easily. And then we got them each a giant custom, bamboo bong at the
Nice.
last grow that we went to. It's funny.
That's cool. I didn't get any smokeware while I was there. I was kind of just focused on seeds. Um, I should have though. What was I thinking? Yeah.
Did you visit any of the temples there? They're beautiful.
Yeah, I did. I checked a couple of them out. I wanted to do more of that. I'm gonna go back. So I'm gonna go back to Thailand because I really liked it there. Um, but this trip was a lot of botanical gardens, the tournament, and a lot of eating a lot of different food. I really wanted to just go eat all the different food everywhere. And massages. I was kind of just like a lush. But I'm gonna go back. I'm probably gonna go back in August. I'm actually considering going out there kind of just for fun and staying for a while, maybe like 3, 4, 5 months or something. Um, and just like living in the jungle and growing like a landrace run, like a open pollination, like 8,000 plant, like open pollination project. Um, it's not really going to be financially viable. It's not really going to be for like, it's not really going to be a business investment. I kind of just want to do it. I kind of just want to go out there and like grow cannabis in the jungle in their native soil and use only the things that I have. I'm almost gonna use it like a test of my skills, right? And only use the things that they have there to like use the insects to make frass and castings and ferment fruit and make labs and do KNF stuff and do Jadam stuff and integrate, compost seeds and things and feed them local plant inputs and just kind of just go crazy with like everything I know how to do in like an environment where I really have a lot of natural, like ecological things to play with because I just think it'd be super fun and just go learn Thai and drink a lot of coconut water and hang out like in the sun and just be a jungle ganja growing hippie for like 6 months or something. Um, and then I can go check out all the temples. I'll have plenty of time to go see everything.
The grow season, it's easier. It's like August, September through like April,
That's
March,
what I
April.
was thinking is like going out there in August, which is kind of the worst time for me to be leaving. Um,
Right before trim season,
right
right?
before trips, I got some really important business to take care of in Thailand right now. As I just I'm out there just like sunbathing and drinking coconut water and but I would just like, do my seed business stuff here like remotely and still run my Patreon and make content on Instagram and but just do it all remotely from there, which I think would be dope. I think it'd be so dope. I just do it all
Well,
myself, you know?
we'll see what the legality is too, because I know there's some questions on the long-term legality of it there, at
Oh,
least outside of the medical.
I mean, I'm definitely not going to be doing any of this stuff. It's definitely not going to happen. I'm going.
No, I'm just kidding. No, but
But
I
legit
know
though,
that
like, what
they're
do you mean?
definitely
You talk about like plant count restrictions and stuff.
they're trying to make it more, yeah, permitted and more restricted and reduce the total production. So, well, yeah, there's a lot to this I could say, but I probably shouldn't.
Okay,
But there's different parts of the
I
people
probably
that
shouldn't have
used to
said
be
this. Though.
making a lot of the cannabis money. Um,
I'm not even doing it to
that
know.
are no longer making cannabis money that are upset about no longer making cannabis money, and I'll leave it at that.
That's fair. Well, I'm not planning on growing it to sell it. If
Oh,
anything, it
I
would
know.
be to like have a tremendous amount of legit land race. Um, and because I just want to do it,
No, there's tons of good places there
you know.
for that for sure.
I got no kids. I'm single. I like to grow weed and I like plants. I'm just gonna go live in the jungle.
There you go.
you know?
Like um, what's the name of that story? I'll think of it. So do you have any new recipes or inputs or anything that you're doing content for in the next little while, or anything that you're like excited to tell people about?
Mm, Like new technique stuff.
Yeah, or just refinements on old ones, or anything new to share on, because you always have so many cool videos on
On
different
like,
inputs, different recipes and things and all that kind of stuff.
yeah, I'm gonna get back into making a lot of that content. Um, I found like a local apothecary where I can source a bunch of different things. Where I'm at in Central Oregon, there aren't many things for me to go collect from the local environment. I gotta drive like hours to go collect like, blackberries or something. There's no like bamboo. There is willow growing here. So I'm gonna be integrating willow back into my regimen. Um, so I'm gonna start talking about like a lot of willow, um, and growing more aloe. There's like aloe and making like sun brewed like willow teas and stuff to start integrating into the soil. Um, I've been getting a lot into like the like chemistry side of it, and like the chemistry aspect. Okay, I gotta stop smoking that. Um, like the chemistry aspect of stuff, like using acetic acid, and like calcium carbonate to make like calcium acetate and stuff like that. Um, so like integrating organic inputs and organic chemistry and making like new compounds, like doing like chemical reactions with like in a non-synthetic way, like using things like apple cider vinegar, like kind of following like kind of stuff like water soluble calcium, but using like argonite, like 99% calcium carbonate and like apple cider vinegar to make like calcium acetate and integrating stuff like that, or looking up like the peak enzymatic activity of like a sprouted seed tea and then integrating that into doing like enzymatic breakdowns of particular compounds, like specifically like harnessing God, why am I spacing right now? phosphatases, and like barley based on like enzymatic activity, and then adding it to things with like high phosphorus content, or using like chitinase and stuff to break down chitin and stuff like that, using like enzymes and adding their corresponding polysaccharides to break things down. I'm probably going to get more into like a lot of that stuff, talking about it in the coming season, as like outdoor starts going and things like that, because I really like to implement those things in like an outdoor setting. Um, and you have more like availability of these of certain things when doing that too. And I also just like working in the sun more. But that kind of stuff I'm really getting into. But in terms of like new techniques, I almost feel like I've like plateaued a little bit, and I'm kind of frustrated. Where I'm playing with enzymes, I'm playing with polysaccharides, I'm playing with polyphenols, I'm playing with phytohormones, um, as well as like chemistry and stuff. So I'm trying to get more into like the chemistry aspect of things and like chemical reactions, which is a lot of like soil mineral balancing theory and like Albrecht soil, Albrecht soil mineral. You get it. Um, and like the like Mulder's chart and things like that, implementing all of these things, talking about like nutrient agonists and synergists, to make things more readily available, and like the biochemical reactions and stuff like that, as well as um, like cofactors, enzymatic cofactors for like biosynthesizing specific volatile organic compounds and things like that, and like really getting into the minutia of it. Like, for example, particular aroma compounds requiring specific cofactors, and then introducing those specific cofactors through like a foliar application or like a soil drench. I don't know if it's going to remain in those compound compositions, to be able to be implemented to create those volatile organic compounds. Um, but I'm going to be playing a lot more with like the minutia of cofactors to produce aroma compounds, and not just terpenes, but like thiols, esters, phenols, sulfur compounds, stuff like that. Um, that's kind of where I'm going with this next season. Um, what about you?
Um, I have been mostly just working on um trying to get everything up and running where we're at. I've been doing IMO collections, IPMO collections, kind of while we're waiting on everything to get more matured, but it's kind of the only thing we can really do this time of year. So that's all I've been doing as far as those kinds of inputs.
You're back in Cali, yeah?
Yep. Yeah, I'm in NorCal. So it's been fun just trying to do the building permits and the dealing with TDFW and all the fun parts of getting a nursery open.
I ran a nursery before. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. I don't know,
Yeah.
nursery is fun. I did nursery for quite a while in Oklahoma, and I enjoyed it. There was a nice flow to it once you have your system down.
Yeah. I really like shaping mother plants. I'm not a super big fan of pumping out trays of clones all day long. Have you ever done
Oh,
that? Have you done that part of it yet?
oh yeah. What I like to do is set up like 3 or 4 people that are stickers, and then I'll just be in there trimming clones
Hmm.
and then putting them into buckets full of soft oil and water, and then
Nice.
just bringing in the buckets and then just pull out of the bucket, and then each bucket's a strain, and then we just use clean buckets until we're done, and then we bleach them, and you don't have to worry about cross contaminating anything or any of that. It's a good system because they can sit in the soft oil and water for hours if you need to. And they can go on their lunch break or whatever and come back and it's fine.
Cool. Are you adding anything to the water, like any kind of like rooting hormone?
No, I mean we stick them with Olivia's or Clonix or whatever. Insert generic, locally affordable cloning gel here.
Ah,
But I but yeah, that's my normal method, and then everything at least clean when it's going. The other thing I'll do that's different, I think than other people is with the plugs. When I soak my plugs in a little bit of like a nutrient solution, I'll put spirulina in there because spirulina prevents the algae growth. Um,
interesting.
and it'll like keep you from getting the algae that grows, kind of fucks up the phosphorus on the plug. So it helps with that.
Interesting. I have used spirulina in cloning before, um, but I didn't really notice any immediate benefit. Um, but I didn't think about like the algae growth because I never really had algae growth problems, but I think in an area where that is like common, yeah, that makes sense, and that's a smart integration of spirulina. I love spirulina. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's
Um,
good stuff.
are you like washing it or anything? Are you worried about like sodium content?
From
Spirulina?
no, no, I mean
No?
we're adding such a minute amount and a little bit of soda. So this is interesting. Like, and I'm really curious to try this with a breeder that like wants to try it. So this is something I observed with lettuce. Okay. So when you do large scale aquaponic lettuce, you have 10, 12, 20,000 heads of lettuce of the same type, like red sailless lettuce or oak butter crunch or whatever the fuck, red romaine, regular romaine, whatever.
Yeah.
So if the sodium level was above about 60, 65 parts per million, especially if it was up in the 80, 90, 110 parts per million, in the system, suddenly I would get a ton of phenotypic variation in the system. So all the red sailless lettuce, I'll get one that's growing 3 times faster and it's green. Or I'll get five or six of them that are green and they you can definitely tell that they're mutating and they're getting a lot more variation suddenly and the stability has kind of gone away. And I always kind of wondered, well, if you're specifically going for like trying to get a bunch of phenotypic variation out of like a really good quality genetic, adding that level, the higher level of sodium might behoove you to get that increase in genetic expression, like just for that increase in variation. Like, yeah, it's definitely not good to run long term. I definitely don't think that. But if you were just doing it for like trying to see, what the hell is in the genetics that you're working with, I think that there's definitely more that needs to be learned or studied on that because I see it all the time with lettuce, and it's directly attributed to the sodium levels with that phenotypic variation expression in lettuce.
Interesting. Because from what I understand about high sodium levels is it interferes with like uh like covalent bonds and stuff, like chemical reactions between nutrients to like make them available and like usable by the plant. Um, do you think that that might be what's going on?
Well, no, because some of them are even growing at an accelerated rate, and they still are just fine. Like the shape of it's fine. It's clearly, you know,
Oh, that's
maturing just fine. There's just more variation so that there's like a lot of different leaf shape variation, leaf size variation, the density of the lettuce heads, and then the color, like red or green or going back and forth between the two.
huh,
Yeah.
interesting. I'll have to look into that.
But especially places in, near the coast that I've worked at that have a higher sodium level, it kind of builds up over time as they're topping the system off from the groundwater.
Oh yeah.
So we have to flush it or putting a ton of celery in it. Celery and cucumbers and squash really suck it out. They seem to really attract a lot of extra sodium and can strip it out of the water faster. But celery in particular tastes really good when it's grown in kind of the
Salty.
almost too salty water.
That's cool. Nice. Yeah, I still haven't played with aquaponics yet. I would love to, but I'll have to come check out your stuff.
Yeah, you'll definitely have to come check it out once we get up and running.
Okay.
Sometime in June or July. Fingers crossed. Permits with
Woo.
allowing. We'll see. If not, it'll be at some point after that.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, I know how it is. I know how it is. Permits and licensing and stuff can be a pain.
yeah, well, that's what AI is for. So you can feed all the regulations and make sure you can audit yourself for you.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
It helps.
Yeah. I've written quite a few applications for different companies and stuff like that, and it's always just like a waiting game, and then some nonsense happens with the state, and it's always just a mess. It's always such a mess. Um, People doing weird things, the state assigning things in weird ways and like calling it one thing when you know it's something else. And I won't get into it, but it's such a pain.
I had a question. We had Nigel on two episodes ago. Nigel Palmer, who's like another person that's really knowledgeable on Korean natural farming, and he's taking his FPJ leftovers and
Mhm.
doing vinegar extractions on them and finding that like manganese and I think it was potassium and boron were getting much better pulls on the um, vinegar extraction after the FPJ with the leftover plant material, which I thought was really interesting. And I was just kind of curious if it's something that you had tried.
What do you mean better pulls?
So he's doing his FPJ, for a week or whatever,
Mhm.
straining it and taking that liquid, and that's his FPJ.
Right?
But then you still have leftover plant material. So he's taking
Yes.
that and soaking it in vinegar
Hmm.
and then
He
allowing,
soaks it in vinegar. He's not fermenting it to make vinegar. He's soaking it in vinegar.
yeah, he's fermenting the plant material in vinegar. And
In
then,
vinegar. Okay.
yep, and then straining that and then testing the mineral composition of it.
Oh, I mean, immediately I just think of like acid extraction.
Yeah.
Um,
But I thought you'd find it interesting. But he's doing like four pulls or four times he's using that plant material before it's like,
huh.
fully disintegrated.
Interesting. Is he doing any kind of like evaporation afterwards?
No,
No?
he talks about it in the episode if you want to know the exact way. He has it on his website too, nigelpalmer.com.
Cool.
Along with the nutrient profiles like the NPK and other nutrient values and ppms.
That's super interesting. Immediately I thought of almost like a tea ceremony. You know how like they'll do
Yeah.
multiple washes of plant matter and like each time different aromas come out of it and like different profiles and stuff. Um, I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but that's immediately what I thought of. Um, and then also thinking of like osmotic pressure and like like when a oh, what just happened? Oh, um, thinking of like osmotic pressure, or like like the amount of like the contents of minerals within like a space of water, like a water molecule,
Yeah.
um, and almost like that being similar to like vinegar. And so like each wash that you do will allow for more to come out and it'll get like saturated at some point so you can't just take more out, so like it makes more sense to do multiple washes instead of a singular wash. I'm kind of just talking out of my ass right now, but this is just my initial thought process because I've never tried this and I've never heard of that technique before, but I am super interested in it. um but yeah, that's super fascinating and I'm gonna have to play with that. What kind of vinegar is he using?
He talks about it in the episode, but I think he's just using apple cider vinegar, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
I know he has a bunch of info on his website and he has a book too that's really good. I can't remember the name of it right now, but I usually take it with me when I'm traveling.
Yeah. I assume that using different pH liquids would pull out different profiles of minerals also.
Yep.
Um, like more basic stuff would pull out a certain profile or I can't talk. More basic stuff would pull out particular nutrients and minerals, ions, um, and acidic stuff would do the other spectrum of it.
Well, that would be interesting. Now you got me thinking if you did a regular FPJ, then did the vinegar pull, then did a base pull. So you're basically like making DMT,
I didn't
except
want to say it out loud.
FPJ
I didn't want to
first.
say it out loud. Um, that's kind of what I thought of too. Um, but I don't know if that so yeah, for sure. But I mean, you do that and you're gonna create like chemical reactions and it's just gonna go all over the place. Um, but I was thinking more of like like making your FPJ and having like one you do like a basic extraction and the other you do like an acidic extraction and see what you get out of it. Um, but at this point, like you're kind of just pulling hairs and like, is it really like economically viable to be doing this? Um, if you really need trace minerals and stuff like that, like, hey, maybe it's a viable option. Maybe there's other inputs that you could be using that you could do better with. Maybe maybe mixing apple cider vinegar with like a straight up mineral, you could be getting a lot more trace minerals out of it, like a rock, like limestone or something, um, or whatever, or
So
the same thing, just kind of get like trace minerals that way. Um,
you could do like
because I
a wood
mean,
ash for your basic.
yeah, something like that. And I've heard of people doing that kind of stuff too. It's like having like water like with a bunch of wood ash in it, and like soaking plant matter and stuff in it. Um, so yeah, chemistry, science, baby.
Right. Well, that's what's fun talking to you because you're one of you and Matt and Chris are kind of some of the only people I know that are really tinkering with like the concepts behind them and like other ways to alter it or advance it or make new methods. So it's always fun about having you on the show and talking with you.
Yeah, I would love to talk with Matt and Chris. Um, I respect both of them highly. Uh, I had Matt on my podcast one time. I never got Chris on, but I have a lot of respect for Chris, and we were like good online friends, but I've never actually met him. But he seems like a really solid dude.
Yeah, he's great. He helped me move across the country. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, he seems like a really nice guy.
It was funny. The guy we rented a RV to move in, and the guy's like, "Do you guys garden?" And we both just kind of like laughed maniacally.
Never. I've never done. I'm not much of a plant person, you know.
It was pretty funny. It was like when I was with Josh Rutherford and we picked up Dr. Elaine and took her up to the Regen conference
Oh,
and we
cool.
stopped at some dispensary because we like needed to pick up I don't know, it was a dab rig or I don't know, there was something that we needed to pick up and it was like on the way. So we stopped there and she had never been in a dispensary before. So we brought her in there and the lady was like, "Oh, do you grow?" And she just kind of had like damn near, split a stitch laughing so hard. It was really funny.
Love that. Love that. So funny. Yeah, that's
Um,
great. I need to go to more conferences and stuff. I gotta get out there more. But,
yeah, it's been kind of wild lately. Speaking of well, I don't know if I should bring it up on the show, but there is a conference right now that is going to have Phylos on a panel, and I was floored to see them stick their heads back up again.
didn't they go out of business?
No, well, they ran Mowgli out of town or out of the country or wherever he was at. I don't know what he's doing these days, but he went into hiding there for a while. But
Yeah, I heard about all that. Maybe we shouldn't get into it.
yeah, if you're and everyone to know, I covered like 6 or 8 episodes on it with like herbarium experts and lawyers and a bunch of staff from both Phylos and Open Cannabis Project and all that stuff. For anyone that's wanting to know, you can go back and it's like one episode, 150s, 140s, something like that. You can check it out. I have probably more hours covered on that topic than anyone else that did any journalism on it. So
Are you going at any conferences soon?
let me think. I'm gonna probably go to the Dude Grows Cup coming up in June. I'm always excited for that one. That's always a
What?
fun one.
Where's that?
In Colorado.
Colorado.
It's in Fort Collins.
Cool.
Yeah, but it's always a good time. It's like a secret cup, so everyone comes and gives their weed and gets like a number in a jar, generic jar, and you can like open the jar and smell it and look at it. And then they have like bud tenders that will like pack your chillums, so everybody gets a chillum when they come, and they'll pack your chillums to taste test all the different stuff, and you get tokens, so you vote on it, and you can put up to 2 tokens as votes for a particular strain, and then the strains with the most tokens wins. But I like the fact that it's blind like that, and I think it's cool. But this year they're doing 3 days. It's like one day of flower, one day of hash, and then one day of just having fun. So I'm
Cool.
stoked on it.
Might have to check that out. I want to go to Barcelona.
Oh, the one in Spain, Cannabis,
Yeah.
in a few years.
I'm gonna see if I can jump on a booth with some of the companies that like me.
Cool. Yeah, well,
Yeah,
good luck
man.
with that. That'll be fun. It's
Yeah.
good times over there. It's a different scene, but
I want to do more international stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You should try to find one in South Africa. I highly recommend anyone that isn't hasn't had a chance to. There's a lot of really awesome like cultivars and cool people in the African cannabis scene. And I feel like they don't get enough representation in the international scene because they got some really good flower
Nice.
down there. There's a
Yeah.
farm I work with still just outside of Cape Town, if you're ever down that way, like an hour outside of Cape Town.
Well, I'm not sure what would ever bring me there besides cannabis, but yeah, if I ever make it down
You
there.
go down there and then you go see that, and then you fly over to Namibia and you go see the Welwitschia, what is it? Welwitschia plants, the super ancient ones that have the two leaves that are fucking crazy gnarly.
I don't know what you're talking about, but that sounds badass.
Yeah, here plant nerd out for a second.
Nice.
These are some of the coolest plant. Like this is like one of many different ultra awesome plants there in that part of the world, but they have just two leaves that grow. Yeah,
Cool. Dude, those things are wild looking. It's like
but
the Sarlacc pit, you know?
they can live to be 3,000 years old. Like here's an old one, but they only ever have two leaves that kind of like splinter and feather. But it's just two starts off as two, and they have these in. You can get these like they're not difficult
Oh,
to
it's a
grow,
succulent.
but it's in the pine. It's a like a what do they call it? Evergreen or whatever. They have pine cones.
Oh, really? I thought it just said succulent somewhere.
It might be a type. It might be also a succulent, but it's in the pine tree family. They have the
That's
cones.
crazy.
Yeah, there you go.
Those the ones that they use for like soap?
No, no, this is
No?
different.
Okay.
You're thinking there's like a soap sumac or a soap. It looks kind of like this,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, they're. If you ever get a chance to go to Namibia, they are super fucking cool.
I like how they
Yeah,
put rocks on
definitely
it
an
so like don't
excuse to
touch
go to
anything.
that part of the world.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at in life right now is like I kind of just want to travel around and check out like cool rare plants and collect, you know, rare seeds and stuff. Um, that's just kind of where I'm at.
Yeah,
I like growing weed season after season, but I want to find a way to bring cannabis or have cannabis bring me like all over and go travel around, you know?
yeah. Well, you, you know, do SOPs and consulting, and you can find plenty of places. I know that's how I ended up doing it. So,
SOPs and consulting. Yeah, for sure.
especially in the newer markets, because they don't know what they're doing as far
Yeah,
as
if you
meeting
can
you.
get them, if you can get them to listen to you.
Yeah.
I just struggle with that here,
But yeah, that's
you
a
know?
whole other problem.
It's like, let's bring the expert in. And it's like, oh, you need to do this. It's like, no, 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 no. No, I don't. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
okay. Seem to be doing great.
it's always funny too, and it's like a very obvious
Mm,
uh like IPM issue that could be like fixed really easy.
hmm Yeah,
So I'd
stuff like that.
show a video here for a second of your trip.
Adventures in Thailand. Yeah, so this was a video that Prempa V made. There's some like traditional stuff going on. I was on that farm that day.
And tell people how
You can see
old
me in the
those
back.
plants are, because those are very old plants. Those are like
Those were planted
5 months, right?
September, early September. And then, you know, so they went from September to when was I there? What day is it? We're in February? It was
Yeah,
mid-January.
yeah, so they're 5 months.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
cool.
that was the spot I was in. That's another probably post. But yeah, that's the weed. That's some of my the papaya berry cross that I made.
Nice. That's like really tricky. That's really pretty.
I'm going after trichome density. This seems to be everything. This seems to be all everyone cares about right now. Um, but I really locked down the aroma with, my cheese stuff, and that's what I was really focusing on. And now I just carried that aroma stuff into like playing with trichome density. Even though like my cheese line, had plenty of trichome density. But it's just like everything's got to be full of trichomes, and have really loud nose, and I really go after like unique aromas, um, instead of perpetuating the same smells that everyone is growing. Um, but yeah, there's some of my stuff. So that's the lunar cheese, that's like the foundation for everything. Worked that for quite a few years. But yeah, you can see those elongated trichome necks, um, which is something that I selected for. And then, I package out all my seeds by hand and I hand select everything. Um,
Nice.
yeah. Oh yeah, wait. Click the wait. Oh yeah, that's one of my outdoor plants. Um, and I think in that post, yeah, I was talking about making premature raspberry FFJ, to harness like phytohormones and like organic acids and stuff like that. Those are more dense and premature fruits.
What dilution rate are you applying that at?
So everyone talks about like doing what is it, 1 to 500, whatever, but I never go that high. I usually just stick to like 3 milliliters per gallon.
Very
I'm a
beautiful
field.
plants.
And then here
Nice.
we go down a second. Go to that one.
This one?
Yeah, go to that one. Wait. It's hard because there's like a delay. So it's the one with me shaking that plant.
This one?
Yeah. This is kind of like talks about my seed drop, and I did some cool like video editing stuff I thought was pretty fun. Um, but that's how I did my pollination of that space, is I just took my mail and I put it in the fan, and you could just see the pollen all around the depth space. Just like it pretty much like homogenized through the entire space almost immediately because I have like so many, fans and air, so much air circulation going on in there. And I got like a really nice pollination. I got really mature seeds, all living soil grown and stuff like that. And I've been having perfect germination. Everyone's been really stoked, do the whole winnowing thing, which is fun. But I got a lot of really good seeds.
Nice. Any other tricks for dehusking them all or
So did you see that
separating them?
little that like that rubber mallet
Yeah.
thing? So that was just something that we came up with. My business partner actually came up with it. But it's like rubber on like a little handle, and then it's rubber on the bottom. And so, we just hand break everything up, right? But then afterwards you still have a lot of like the husks, like the bracts still on stuff. Um, and so anything that still had like the bracts on it, we like lay it down and then I just gently roll over it and do like a circular motion too. And it breaks all those husks off. So that it's not, that task isn't left to whoever's packaging it later. It worked out really well.
Just had another little earthquake here. There's enough to out of the desk.
Oh wow. Yeah, my friend in Hawaii said that she was feeling earthquakes too. You're feeling them in Cali, huh?
Yeah, that's the second one. We had one last night at like 12:30. This one was a 4.6. It felt this
Oh
one felt
wow.
about the same as the one last night.
Oh,
But just
crazy.
enough where it like feels like someone like hit the side of the house with a car or something. Like
Oh wow, really?
yeah, like a ripple. Like I don't know how to describe it. Like when Neo kills Agent Smith in the Matrix and there's like a ripple down the hallway.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what happened. It feels like that's what
yeah.
happens. Like the house like ripples.
Oh wow. I haven't experienced an earthquake in a long time since I lived in Cali, really.
We had a 7.0 there a couple months ago. That was intense. That was but definitely the biggest one that I've felt so far.
Yeah. Wonder if there's anything else worth showing you. I'm sure there is, but I'm getting a little sleepy.
No worries.
I was talking about, I did some videos just talking about soil concepts and stuff. And they didn't seem to get too much engagement, so I kind of just stopped doing it. But one of my root systems,
It's really pretty.
yeah, nice healthy roots.
I think you can make like a super dope artwork out of that somehow.
Right? I had that. I wanted to keep it and like make it into like a staff or something, but I don't even know what happened to it. I must have just left it somewhere. But definitely cool art.
Some beautiful plants.
Thank you. Mm. That's my raspberry moon cheese grown outdoors.
Nice. I think I've grabbed some of that from you as well, if memory serves
Yeah,
me
you
right. I gotta
did.
go back. Yes, I'm stoked to be running that for sure.
Yeah, this stuff is super good. Yeah, that's another pheno expression of the. Oh wait, no, it's not. I'm sorry. That's the moon diamonds.
Yeah. Cool. Is there anything else that you wanted to go over
I
before we
don't
wrap
know.
things up?
I'm getting kind of sleepy and this studio light's blinding me.
Sure.
I don't know, is there
Well,
anything else you want to talk about?
do you want to mention your Discord or anything or
Yeah, sure. So I have an educational Discord that you get access to through my Patreon. Um, yeah. So that's the Patreon page. It takes you to the Discord, and the Discord, I wonder if maybe I could screen share, but it has quite a few channels, probably around like 60 different channels that are all soil and plant concepts from KNF, Judam, soil food web stuff, microscopy, enzymology, hormones, mineral balancing theory. Um, I have like collections of PDFs and encyclopedias and my recipes, and there's also discussion areas and like grow diary areas, and um, just every concept you can imagine, like top dressing and different types of fermentation, anaerobic, aerobic, solid state, biochar. It's just every different concept that I could think of surrounding soil and plants, um, ecologies and regenerative agriculture. I threw into a Discord and I put all the information that I have and that I've been collecting throughout my years of learning and collecting PDFs and stuff. I threw it all in there. It's just $10 a month for the first tier, and that gets you access to all those channels. The $20 a month gets you access to our seed giveaways, but also to like a live group consulting, um, where people jump in and they ask their questions, and I give them like one-on-one consulting in a group, and so everyone gets to learn about each other's questions and learn about the advice for whatever needs that they have, and then you get to ask your questions, and I give you consulting on those particular things too. Um, and and then there's like a seed subscriber option where you just get free seeds every month, and you just pick whatever you want, and you get access to my whole library.
so sweet.
Yeah,
Very cool. Well,
thanks for
thanks so much
listening.
for coming on the show again and telling us about your travels in Thailand and what you've been up to and what you're doing this year. And it's been a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
thank you for having me on again. I really appreciate it, and it's always good catching up with you and talking with you. And next time I'm in Cali, I'll come bug you.
People can find you uh, on Instagram at Luna All Day. I'll throw it on
Mhm.
the screen here. And for those listening in audio format, as this little thing goes away, it's Luna All Day, one word for
Yeah, the A is shared, so it's LUNALLDAY.
yep. And then she's got a link tree on there with all of additional links if you want to get
All my stuff.
Patreon and the other goodies.
Yep, there's some articles on there and just soil mineral balancing and stuff, and soil building and all sorts of stuff.
And Luna was our highest viewed or listened to episode last year
Really?
for 2024. So thought
Jesus,
that was
really?
yep,
For which, with the one where I was talking about making compost teas?
yep,
And I was like half
across all
awake because I had
platforms.
just done like a 3-hour podcast beforehand.
Yeah.
Cool. Fuck yeah. What was the view count?
I'll have to go back and look, but it was on for the audio and video totals, it was the highest.
I
I have
love
it
how,
all in a spreadsheet. I just gotta go open it up.
I love that. That's very flattering. I appreciate the love from everybody. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Steve. You're the man.
Appreciate it. Well, thanks everybody, and we'll catch you guys again next week. Be sure to check out our Aquaponic Cannabis Masterclass with over 650 slides of education, as well as videos of different aquaponic cannabis facilities, hands-on video training, and a whole bunch more. You can check that out at apmjclass.com or Aquaponic Cannabis Growers on Teachable. It's been featured in High Times, Dope Magazine, Dude Grows, Growcast, Embracing Organics, Growing with My Fellow Growers, a whole bunch of different podcasts and publications, as well as features all different, all the different aspects you need to grow cannabis aquaponics: nutrients, pest management, design, aquaponic cannabis business and licensing trials and tribulations, and all the different stuff that we've gone through, Marty and I, over the years. Microbial inputs and a whole lot more. So be sure to check it out. If you're looking to grow the best aquaponic cannabis, or really just get a top to bottom, start to finish, all things reference guide kind of class, be sure to check out aquaponic cannabis class. Be sure to check out the aquaponic and living soil pest control course at thepestclass.com. We have over 400 slides just on pest management, pest control, all things pest management, be it fungal issues, caterpillars, aphids, powdery mildew, you name it. We have solutions on there, as well as a huge list of beneficial insects with release rates and application rates for how to make your own biocontrols, to a whole lot more, as well as a bunch of cool tips and tricks for identifying pests in your garden early on so that you can catch them early. So be sure to check that out at thepestclass.com. If you want to learn all there is to know about aquaponics, be sure to check out the Aquaponic Masterclass at aquaponicmasterclass.com, where we feature the longest course that I've ever done. I've kind of made a hybrid class from all my other courses, and then added a couple of other cool features and things to it as well. You can check it out over at aquaponicmasterclass.com. We do have over 50 hours of in-depth content on there, including over 1,000 slides in the deck alone. Tons of cool videos, tips, tricks, lots of behind the scene footage from a bunch of different facilities that I've worked on, not just cannabis, but many others. We go over how to grow over 100 different types of crops in depth in aquaponics, with pictures of every single one of those crops growing in aquaponics over the years. Tons of fish husbandry information, microbial information, mineralization optimizations, how to dose your nutrients in your system, detailed dosing guides, starting at 10 gallons and going up to 10,000 in the course as well, for making it easy to do the math on all of your dosing of your different nutrients, how-to guides, tours of different aquaponics facilities, and so much more. You can check that out at Aquaponic Cannabis, or aquaponicmasterclass.com. Looking to do more about plant preservation and genetic preservation of not only cannabis, but many other types of crops, be sure to check out Copyleft Cultivars. We have a wide range of resources, as well as an AI assistant to help farmers around the world better protect their genetics from corporate exploitation. I am on the board of Copyleft Cultivars, and I'm proud to be part of this amazing project. You can check out more information either on Patreon or on copyleftcultivars.com. You can also check out the wonderful natural farming AI that we've put together to help make gardening easier than ever. It speaks hundreds of languages, can help you with all manner of plant problems, from pest control to fertilizer creation to natural farming methods, and a whole lot more. You can check out access to that over on Patreon. There's both free and paid versions of the app, so depending on what level of support you'd like to give us, we do offer early beta versions of our latest releases to our newest supporters, and anyone who backs us. We do offer additional resources as well for people before they're available to others, as a way to help fund the program. Be sure to check out the Growing with Fishes podcast over 1,000 hours of educational content. We have content on all things plants and soil science, as well as aquaponics, hydroponics, and much more. You can find the show on your favorite podcast app: YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Google, SoundCloud, Amazon Music, and a whole bunch of other places. Thank you for watching. Be sure to check out any of the amazing resources that we have available to help people with their garden. You can check me out on YouTube over at Ponics. You can check us out over on your favorite podcast app with Growing with Fishes or Ponics, depending on which app that you're using. Most of them are registered for both, but sometimes the indexing works a little screwy on others. You can email me at potentponics@gmail.com. Be sure to check out our classes as well: aquaponicmasterclass.com, apmjclass.com, thepestclass.com. You can check out my website over at potentponics.com, or our Facebook group, Aquaponic Cannabis Growers. Thanks for watching.